election slams neck over recognition of weak banked caretaker committee. Constitutional lawyer warns landlords against self-help, urges court in tenant dispute. On the foreign scene, Japan to restart its largest nuclear power plant after 2011 Fukushima shutdown. I'm Ifechukwu Muonyili with the news. Now, the Defense Headquarters says Nigeria's security partnership with the United States is limited to training, intelligence sharing, and strategic cooperation. In a statement by the Director of Defense, Major General Samaila Uba, the DHQ says all engagements respect Nigeria's sovereignty and do not involve foreign troop deployment. Clarification followed comment by the U.S. Africa Command Chief, General Nagvin Anderson, who said a U.S. team was deployed in Nigeria after U.S. strikes on December 25th without giving details. While the DHQ says all defense partnerships are transparent and do not compromise Nigeria's independence. Meanwhile, U.S. President names ISIS fighters in Sokoto on Christmas Day. Speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, Trump said he tries to target ISIS militants responsible for killing Christians, adding that he deliberately approved the operation for December 25th. Hospital insecurity in River State and suspected to be gang members on Thursday shot dead Muonyili Olu and abducted the president of the Omoko Youth Federation, Ifechukwu Azwazo, in Omoko Oba, Muonyili area of River State. The attack happened at a popular sport street off Palace Road. Witnesses say about 7 armed men arrived in 2 vehicles, pointed their guns at Azwazo and ordered him to one of the vehicles. His aide, Chigozie Olu, reportedly tried to intervene and was shot dead before the attackers fled with the youth leader. The incident caused panic as residents ran and shots were shot. Now, a video seen by our correspondent showed youth helping security agencies to evacuate the corpse in a police patrol van. Confirming the incident, a member of the local anti-group in the area, known Kingsley, told correspondent Mukotoka that normalcy has returned to the area. He said OSPAC members are working collaborating with the police and other security agencies to ensure the safe release of the abducted youth leader. According to him, there has been no indication from the other security agencies to ensure the safe release of the abducted youth leader. According to him, there has been no indication from the abductors so far. When contacted, the spokesperson of the River State Police Command Chief Superintendent of Police, Grace Eringi-Koko, said she would get back to our correspondent, but had not done so as at the time of filing this report. Now, moving on, the Second Caucus has clarified that the Senate did not reject electronic transmission of election results during the Electoral Act Amendment Bill process. While the Senate voted down a proposal to make real-time transparency unit, it retained the provision of the 2023 Election Act allowing results to be electronically transferred after counting an announcement. Speaking at a press briefing on Thursday, former Senate leader Senator Inaya Baribe says the National Assembly approved the electronic transmission of results after consultations with civil society groups. Now, he explains that confusion arose for the use of the words transmission and transfer. Some opposition parties say the Senate's handling of the proposals on real-time electronic transmission of election results could weaken democracy. The joint statements, the ADC and NNPP accused the ADC-led Senate of being loopholes in the electoral process that could allow future manipulation of election results. Now, the opposition parties are not alone in raising concerns over the proposed amendments to the Electoral Act. Some lawyers in Port Harcourt are expressing worry about the state of Nigerian democracy following reports that the Senate rejected a proposal to make electronic transmission of election results mandatory in electoral reforms. Speaking with our correspondent, one of the lawyers, Uche Olewune, described unfortunate, saying lawmakers miss a key opportunity to improve transparency and credibility in the electoral process.
Even when the matter came out in court, the question now was whether the language of the law was compulsory, whether it was naturally compulsory for INEC to transmit results via electronic means. One had thought if we have a Nigerian Senate that is serious about bringing out electoral reforms and deepening democracy, what they have done now is state it in an unmistakable terms, because the language of the law now should have been passed. All of a sudden, you just tell them that they rejected it. So it means now, I'm going back to the old ways of doing things. The refusal of electronic transmission compulsory is a setback for democratic reforms and could further weaken public confidence in the electoral process. He asked that he would not be surprised if President Bola Tinubu signs the proposed electoral reforms without the provision of mandatory electronic transmission of election results. They took as if that God, somebody knew that he's coming to take over, and you begin to ask yourself, this person, they are aware that his fate is dependent on the outcome of the votes that will be cast in the electorate. They knew and they knew that they are going to reject electronic transmission of votes, and with that, honestly speaking, for me, it's very in transmitting that result electronically. We have to follow that result transmitted immediately in the words of Yakubu every time. We're also speaking on the issue. Human rights lawyer Courage warns that the 2027 general elections could be compromised if the Electoral Act is not amended to limit the powers of the Independent National Electoral Commission in deciding how results are estimated.
This section of the Electoral Act is not amended, and INEC is allowed to decide how results should be transferred. Then the election in 2027 is already. So the people of Nigeria should not sit back. We should all come out and insist on the amendment of the Electoral Act for the results to be transmitted.
The movement is urging Nigerians to demand the inclusion of compulsory electronic transmission of election results, describing it as essential for free, fair, elections.
This is one thing we should fight for. If there is nothing I've ever fought for, this is a cause worth fighting. I feel that transmission is done, and the INEC server will never get our vote to count. If we want our votes to count, then we must insist on the amendment of the Electoral Act to the extent that the transmission of results from the polling to the IRF server is mandatory.
Well, in the meantime, the House of Representatives has set up a bipartisan conference committee to resolve differences between its version of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and that passed by the Senate. House spokesperson Akin Rotimi says the committee chaired by Ayo Balogu will harmonize the bill before final passage by the National Assembly. This follows the Senate's passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 after its third reading on February 4th. Well, the proposed law is meant to strengthen the electoral framework ahead of the 2027 general election, including stricter penalties for electoral offences and adjustment of election timelines. The House says it remains committed to reforms that will improve transparency and public confidence in Nigeria's electoral process. Let's take a quick break now. When we return, constitutional lawyer warns landlords against self-help action in tenant dispute. Stay with us. The PDP has condemned the INEC for regular caretaker committee backed by FCT MSAs from Wiki, describing as unconstitutional and provocative. In a statement signed by Publicity Secretary Ini Ememobong, the faction says it will challenge the decision in court and urge party members to remain calm, noting that the leadership dispute is still before the court. INEC Thursday recognized the Wike-backed caretaker committee and its secretary and national organizing secretary as PDP representatives at a quarterly meeting. The PDP crisis follows a federal high court ruling in Ibadan, notified the party's November 15, 2025 national convention and barred Turkey and others from acting as national officers. The Wike-aligned group later set up a 13-member caretaker committee, which says it will organize a fresh national convention in March 2026. But still, politics now with a focus on development here in the state. Our public affairs analyst Ijoma says reports that President Bola Tinubu, Minister of the 18th Wike as the political leader of River State, are aimed at stabilizing the president's political structure in the state. Stated this in an interview with our correspondent Sophie Wade, saying it is a strategic effort to prevent further internal crisis and ensure unity within the president's political base in River State.
It will be one of his strategy to ensure that it's a different ballgame altogether. It may be his own discretion and strategy, and perhaps that may be the political strategy of the president to ensure that despite in both political factions, he wants to ensure that everybody are doing their bits and their best in their own ways to ensure that he is being re-elected.
The silence from the River State governor's camp suggests a deliberate decision to focus on governance rather than political distractions.
So if he continues to reply what's that from every corner, he may be distracted, and it may also heat up the tension of the state. And so I'm sure that the strategy he's using is to ensure that the state is peaceful. For me, that is the best approach. For the end of the day, for the governor, he decides to succumb to that distraction. At the end of the day, he's the one that's going to blame. He's the governor of the state, and people say you did not perform.
And now we go to a Ichi local government area where the chairman is warning political appointees to avoid actions or statements to speak badly of any political leader in Ichi. The gave the warning during a visit to the newly sworn in council secretary, Gospel Peters, at the council secretariat. It says the council won't accept insult or attacks against any leader in the area. The chairman will opportunity to serve and promise to work in the interest of Ichi people. And now the leadership of retired heads of local government administration in River State are expressing concern over what they describe as the unequal treatment given to retirees at council and state level. Speaking on Nigerian FM's flagship program, Money Crossfire, the chairman, retired head of local government administration River State, Dr. Ahamba Okerenwoba, explained that retirees from local government councils are often shortchanged when it comes to consolidated salaries and benefits like Christmas bonus, amongst others. He is urging Governor Similai Fubara to prevail on council chairmen to treat local government retirees like their counterpart at the state civil service.
From the local government, the chairman don't see you as part and parcel of them again, like as it is in the state. In the state, most times governor rub minds with this group of people, but we retire from different local government, the 23 AGS, and as you retire, the local government has forgotten about you. Let me give you an example. Local government pays during Christmas time, they pay their workers Christmas bonus, but they pay only their workers. And that's where we are worried. State government pays the retirees
as well.
Then we are forgotten.
In another development, a constitutional lawyer, Professor Richard Wokocha, says landlords cannot take the law into their own hands in disagreements with tenants. Professor Wokocha, a lecturer in the Department of Public Law at the River State University, told correspondent Emekotoka that landlords have no right to violate a tenant's fundamental human rights. Professor Wokocha says landlords should go to a magistrate court to seek legal recovery of their property, adding that any action taken without a valid court order is unconstitutional.
The law does not permit anybody to refer to self-help like roofing the house or nailing the door and things like that. The law frowns as such and punishes those who engage in that. In all cases, people are expected to be civilized and to follow the law and file for recovery of premises, and the appropriate magistrate court will give appropriate orders to that effect.
Now, he explains that landlords must give yearly tenants a 6-month quick notice. On compensation, Professor Richard Wokocha says if the court establishes that a landlord acted illegally, the court may award damages if it considers appropriate, which may be up to or less than the tenant's claimed amount.
once it is shown that the landlord resorted to illegality, yes, the person will be entitled to remedy because he has suffered. Even if nailed his door, prevented him from going into his house when he should go in and all that, that is not what the law said he should do if a tenant doesn't quit you at the exact time you gave him. So you have caused him inconvenience. Yes, he will be entitled to damages. The court will determine how much the court thinks is fair. You can ask for 25 million and the court awards you 1 million or 500,000 according to what the court thinks is a fair measure of what you have suffered.
Recall that police attached to the Ozuaba Police Division arrested a man identified as Frimpong Samuel for allegedly removing the roof of his tenant's apartment along NTA Road after the tenant, Ifechukwu Anozie, failed to vacate the property 2 weeks after his rent expired. The tenant has since demanded 25 million naira in damages, claiming his belongings were destroyed by rain following the landlord's action.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Japan is set to restart the world's largest nuclear power plant next week, ending a shutdown that has lasted since the 2011 Fukushima disaster. Operator Tokyo Electric Power says one reactor at the Kashiwazaki Kariwa plant will be switched on February 9th after a faulty alarm was corrected, with commercial operations expected to begin from March 18.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this afternoon, you heard the Defense Headquarters has clarified the Nigeria-US security ties and has denied foreign troop deployment. You heard that gunmen have abducted Omoko youth leader and killed one person in a fresh attack. We told you that the Turaki-led PDP faction has slammed INEC over its recognition of the Yeson Wike-backed caretaker committee. You've also heard that a constitutional lawyer is warning landlords against self-help and is urging them to seek court action instead in tenant dispute. And on the foreign scene, Japan is set to restart the world's largest nuclear power plant after 2011 Fukushima shutdown. The news was edited by Ifunanya Obemendukwe. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Ifechukwu Muonyili. Many thanks for listening.